The landscape around the Los Angeles Dodgers shifted quickly, and it caught a lot of people by surprise. What looked like a possible pitching upgrade suddenly turned into a defining moment for how this season in the National League might unfold. Freddy Peralta is no longer a theoretical fit in blue, no longer a name floating around in speculation. And instead, he is now firmly part of the New York Mets organization. That single move sent a clear message across the league and especially toward Los Angeles, because it revealed not only what the Mets are willing to do, but also what the Dodgers believe about their own roster right now. For the Mets, this was a statement born out of frustration and urgency after missing out on Kyle Tucker, a move they truly believed was within reach. The front office pivoted with purpose. There was a sense that they underestimated the competition, particularly the Dodgers, and once that reality set in, the response was aggressive. The acquisition of Freddy Peralta fits directly into that mindset. This is not a depth move or a speculative gamble. This is an established all-star caliber starter who logged 33 appearances last season, worked deep into games, and piled up over 100 strikeouts across 176 innings. Those numbers are not accidental, and they are not easy to replace. Peralta brings consistency, swing and miss stuff, and a track record that instantly stabilizes a rotation. For a Mets team that has been searching for pitching reliability in big moments, this kind of arm changes expectations internally. He is still in arbitration, which means the financial impact is manageable, but the competitive impact is immediate. When you look at how the Mets have reshaped their roster over a short period of time, it becomes clear that this is a team trying to close the gap at the top of the National League rather than simply staying relevant. From the Dodgers' perspective, the reaction has been fascinating. Interest in Freddy Peralta was real, and it was discussed heavily for a reason. He fit what Los Angeles has valued for years: strike throwing, durability, and the ability to miss bats without relying on perfect defense. Yet once the deal went through with New York, the tone from inside the Dodgers organization shifted toward confidence rather than regret. There has been a clear message that the roster feels largely set, and that there is no immediate urgency to make a seismic move before spring training begins. That stance says a lot about how the Dodgers evaluate their current pitching depth. When you line up Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani at the top, you already have a trio that can match up with anyone in baseball. Add Tyler Glasnow into the mix, and suddenly the rotation looks both dominant and flexible. The final spots remain open to competition, which is exactly how this front office prefers it. Younger arms, internal options, and the possibility of a six-man rotation all give Los Angeles layers of protection against the long grind of the season. There is also the reality that the Dodgers have never been a team that feels pressured to act early if the price does not align with their long-term vision. Missing out on Peralta does not close the door on future moves, and it certainly does not mean the Dodgers are done evaluating the trade market. It simply means they are comfortable waiting. If injuries arise or if the rotation shows signs of strain, this front office has proven time and again that it will strike decisively when the moment is right. Meanwhile, the Mets continue to reshape their identity. Beyond Peralta, they have added key position players and taken chances on upside that could pay off if things break correctly. This is not a roster built to outspend everyone blindly, but it is one that is clearly designed to challenge the established powers. In a National League where many teams are still figuring out their direction, the Mets have drawn a line and said they intend to compete now. That creates an interesting dynamic heading into the season. The Dodgers still sit at the top in terms of overall talent, depth, and organizational stability. Their rotation, even without another headline addition, is stacked with proven performers and high-ceiling options. Their confidence comes from years of success and a system that does not panic. But for the first time in a while, there is a sense that one specific National League team is actively positioning itself as the primary challenger. New York does not yet match Los Angeles pitch for pitch or lineup spot for lineup spot, but the gap feels smaller than it did before. Adding a pitcher like Freddy Peralta narrows that margin, especially in a potential postseason series where elite arms matter more than depth. The Mets know that to beat the Dodgers, they cannot simply be good. They have to be aggressive, calculated, and willing to take risks that other teams shy away from as spring training approaches. The contrast between these two organizations becomes even clearer. One is confident in continuity, trusting its internal structure and proven stars. The other is pushing forward, reshaping its roster with urgency and intent. That tension is exactly what makes this upcoming National League race so compelling. Because every move, or lack of a move, carries weight long before the first meaningful pitch of the season is thrown, while the Dodgers project calm and patience. The ripple effects of this move continue to spread across the National League. The Mets are not just building a roster. They are building belief inside their clubhouse that they can stand on the same field as Los Angeles and not feel overmatched. That matters over a long season. Freddy Peralta is the type of pitcher who changes how a coaching staff maps out a series. He gives them a reliable arm who can stop losing streaks, who can handle pressure, and who can face elite lineups without needing everything to go perfectly. What makes this more interesting is how the Mets arrive at this point, after losing out on a major offensive target earlier in the off-season. There was a moment where it felt like their plans had stalled. Instead of retreating, they adjusted. They added impact talent, reinforced key areas, and signaled that missing once would not define their winter. Peralta represents that adjustment. He is not a consolation prize. He is a calculated addition who fits exactly what the Mets lacked when games tightened late last season. From a pure baseball standpoint, Peralta's recent performance explains why multiple teams were interested. Over the course of last year, he demonstrated durability, command, and the ability to generate strikeouts consistently. His earned run average stayed competitive. His walks were under control, and his presence on the mound forced opposing hitters to change their approach. For a team that wants to challenge the Dodgers, adding a pitcher who can neutralize top-tier offenses is not optional. It is necessary. The Dodgers, however, are operating from a position of strength that few organizations can replicate. Their rotation depth allows them to absorb missed opportunities without scrambling. Internally, there is strong belief that the current mix of veteran stars and emerging arms will be enough to navigate the early part of the season. That belief is reinforced by how the Dodgers have managed workloads, injuries, and performance fluctuations in recent years. They do not need to win the offseason headlines to feel secure about their championship chances. There is also a strategic element at play. By not forcing a trade now, the Dodgers preserve flexibility. They keep their prospect capital intact and maintain the ability to pivot at the trade deadline when needs are clearer and leverage shifts. History suggests that if Los Angeles identifies a weakness in July, they will address it decisively. That possibility looms quietly in the background, even as the Mets celebrate a significant addition. As for the broader National League picture, the gap between tiers appears to be narrowing. Teams like the Mets are no longer content with incremental improvement. They are targeting players who can influence postseason series directly. That creates more meaningful matchups, more tension, and more pressure on established powers to maintain their edge. The Dodgers understand this environment well. They have been the standard for years, and every challenger measures itself against them. What remains to be seen is how these philosophies translate once games begin. Spring training will offer the first glimpse into how the Dodgers plan to deploy their rotation, how they manage Shohei Ohtani's role, and which younger pitchers earn trust early. For the Mets, the focus will be on integration, how quickly Peralta settles in, how the rotation aligns behind him, and whether the lineup can consistently support strong pitching performances. There is a subtle psychological battle unfolding as well. Confidence versus urgency, stability versus ambition. The Dodgers project an image of control, suggesting that their window is wide and their options are plentiful. The Mets project hunger, signaling that now is the time to strike, and that waiting carries its own risks. Neither approach is inherently right or wrong, but the contrast sharpens every head-to-head comparison between the two teams. As the season draws closer, discussions around potential postseason matchups naturally intensify. On paper, the Dodgers still hold the advantage in depth, star power, and experience, yet baseball has never been decided on paper alone. A well-timed pitching performance, a hot stretch from a key player, or a single strategic move can tilt a series. By adding Freddy Peralta, the Mets have given themselves another avenue to create those moments. The Dodgers, meanwhile, appear content to let the season reveal what it needs from them. They are betting on health, preparation, and internal growth to carry them forward. If that bet pays off, missing out on one pitcher will be a footnote. If challenges arise, the league knows Los Angeles has the resources and resolve to respond. And as these two paths continue to unfold side by side, the tension between patience and pursuit only grows stronger as the first pitches of the year approach. As the focus slowly shifts from transactions to preparation, the Dodgers enter this phase with a clear sense of structure. The conversation inside the organization is less about who is missing, and more about how the existing pieces fit together over the course of a long season. The confidence around the rotation is rooted not only in top-end talent, but in the depth that allows flexibility when schedules tighten and fatigue inevitably sets in. That depth creates options, and options are what separate contenders from teams simply hoping things break their way. There is also a growing curiosity around how the Dodgers will manage innings early on, with several starters capable of dominating, but also coming off heavy workloads or unique usage patterns. The approach to spring training and the opening months will matter. The idea is not to peak early, but to arrive at the stretch run with arms that are still strong. That philosophy has guided Los Angeles for years, and it remains central to how they evaluate whether an in-season move is even necessary. On the other side, the Mets are embracing a different energy. The arrival of Freddy Peralta adds edge to their rotation and alters how opponents view a potential series against them. Instead of trying to outslug elite teams, they now have another pitcher who can dictate pace and force uncomfortable at-bats. That kind of presence changes game planning and can swing momentum over the course of a week, especially against top competition. What makes this stretch particularly intriguing is that neither team feels finished. Even if the messaging suggests otherwise, the Dodgers may say they are comfortable. But comfort does not mean complacency. It means they trust their evaluations. The Mets may feel energized by recent additions, but they also understand that expectations rise with every move. Both teams are entering the season with something to prove, just from very different angles. As spring training draws closer, attention will naturally turn to performance rather than projection. Velocity readings, command, health, and chemistry will all begin to tell their story. That is where front office confidence meets on-field reality. For the Dodgers, this period is about confirmation. For the Mets, it is about validation, and as those narratives develop in parallel, the gap between perceived threat and actual contender will start to become clearer through the rhythm of everyday baseball. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Whispers are growing louder around the league and inside rival front offices that the Dodgers may be on the verge of unleashing a new kind of weapon on the mound. The name circulating is Mason Miller, and the intrigue is impossible to ignore. Known for a fastball that routinely touches 103 miles per hour, Miller represents more than just another power arm. He symbolizes a potential shift in how the Dodgers could dominate games in the late innings. Sources close to the situation suggest that the Dodgers' interest is rooted in immediacy. This is not about long-term development or gradual integration. The belief is that Miller could step into the pitching staff and change the dynamic almost overnight. In a rotation and bullpen already rich in depth and analytics-driven precision, the addition of a pitcher with raw elite velocity would give Los Angeles a rare blend of science and sheer intimidation. Opposing hitters are well aware of what triple-digit velocity does to timing and confidence. Even the rumor of Miller wearing Dodger blue has sparked conversations among scouts about shortened swings, altered approaches, and the psychological edge that comes with knowing 103 miles per hour might be waiting. In a critical moment, the Dodgers have long excelled at maximizing pitcher strengths, and insiders speculate that their infrastructure could help Miller refine his command and secondary pitches, turning overwhelming speed into consistent dominance. There is also a strategic layer to the speculation. A power arm like Miller's could protect other pitchers, redistribute workload, and allow the Dodgers to be more aggressive in high-leverage situations. The mere possibility of deploying such velocity late in games forces opponents to plan differently, sometimes days in advance. For now, nothing is official, and the Dodgers remain silent, as they so often do. But in clubhouses across the league, the rumor has already taken on a life of its own. If Mason Miller truly joins the Dodgers pitching corps, the impact may be felt immediately, not just on radar guns, but in the balance of power throughout the season. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.